Like her money and something like that, she's like really cool, but she said I have money that's up for program.
Yeah.
I don't know.
One of the
Like, I
first.
don't know what direction you need to go.
One of the first.
Will you fill one of these out?
I have not.
Okay.
You got one of my.
This is to allow you to speak for the board.
Okay.
Public comments.
In her kitchen.
And,
100%. Yeah, and she's on, it's like on the phone talking to people. And I need to go get a cigarette. Whatever you need to do, I have no idea. But just yeah. I was like, I don't know what this transpired. I'm like crazy. Yeah. So,
I think you should.
yeah. So
The secretary, she has the forms in there
Okay,
and we can provide it to them.
okay.
And you're allowed to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then if somebody like me.
Yeah,
comes here, I see your name, I see your concerns.
Mhm. Okay, yeah, let me grab a sheet. See if she has one.
That's sound things that last year. We had 10. Sound tea and some.
Okay, so I have.
okay.
Really rough here.
Then we have letter in your position.
Shank.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's at a, so we actually.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well, because.
Pro bono stuff, that's right. Yeah, we did.
So, he's doing. Oh.
Yeah, absolutely.
So he's doing,
Okay.
we can do it right.
I don't, but I'd like to get somebody.
Yes, and I was gonna tell you, I found someone here, her name's Julia, and she wants to know if you're ready. She
I'm
can
ready.
come up, okay, and also she can't talk, but she can notarize it. Is that okay?
That's fine with me.
Do you want to? She's
Sorry,
got.
Julia?
Yes. Can we let her know you and she's on the other side, so she's gonna take her.
We should be done before 5 o'clock. No. I'm gonna reschedule. Okay. I get smaller. It's one of those peripheral cameras.
Well, like sometimes like it'll catch, so like when I'm speaking, the numbers down here, the feedback in my head. You did well,
Happening again.
better this time.
So,
Yeah.
all right, we got everybody set. It's 09 or 9 o'clock. We're gonna call this meeting to order. We're gonna stand and do the pledge of allegiance. It's right there, so. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're going to do a moment of silent reflection.
Nicole, can you turn it up?
Yes.
No, I think just press enter. You got it.
All right, thank you. All right, we're going to start with roll call for the board members remotely. Who do you have? So,
Miss Valerie Drake,
Here,
Mr. Pete Carrick,
Mr. Craig. This is Julia.
looks like we got him. I can do it.
Can you hear me now?
Good
Yeah.
morning. This is Charlie Brave, representing Churchill's County. Proper, thank you.
Mr. Ward, Chairman Williams, and
Yes, here, present.
Mr. Jim Snyder,
Yes, here.
Ms. Heather Lackey. Present. Mr. Paul Mill,
Present.
Mr. Dave Coon,
Here.
Mr. Dwayne Coon, Dr. Craig Shank, Mr. Bernard Peterson,
Here.
all of the board staff, Director Jennifer Ott. Here. Administrator Mativich. Present. Mr. Shujuski,
Present.
Administrator Anushapur,
here, I'm here.
Administrator Mary. Deputy Director Conrad,
So I just want for you. You.
Deputy Administrator Megan Brown,
Here.
You do.
Attorney General Richard Yin,
Here.
Dylan Davidson,
He just got promoted.
We're going. Hold on.
Administrator Vigil,
Here.
Sierra Russell,
Here.
Vanessa Urban,
Here.
Jada,
Here.
Perfect. All right. We'll do that. Roll calls all complete. We're going to move the agenda item number 2, public comment. Is there any public comment? Sam, I know we had a few. Public comments. Can you cover those real quick, and then we'll go to online, and then we'll do if there's any public comment.
yes. One of the public comments that was submitted is from Jennifer Garrett. You want me to read it?
Yes, please.
She writes, hello, we are writing to convey our thoughts after attending the 4 workshops that were put on by the department to discuss the changes to NAP 571, which would make annual trick testing mandatory. We feel that burdening all the producers because there are a few problematic areas in the state is unfair, unnecessary, overreaching, and will not clean up the problem areas. Enacting mandatory annual trick testing is wrong for the following reasons. Enforcement will be difficult, especially for a department that is short on employees and having a hard time covering its current duties. More labor will be needed to keep track of who has tested and the number of bulls tested correlates with the number of bulls on the tax roll, etc. Obviously, the department will be more burdened than it is now as they have to make sure everyone trick tests yearly versus just clean up trick areas. The number of positive bulls is very small, less than 1%, and close to half of the bulls tested. These numbers prove that trick in Nevada is not a statewide problem, but rather an area of
Board of
problem.
Ag meeting.
Care of trick through management
Yeah.
and testing.
Oh.
Annual trick testing will
That's
put
okay.
an unnecessary hardship on ranchers in time, labor, and cost. Not all ranchers gather all their bulls yearly, nor do they have trick testing.
Oh,
facilities
yeah.
to gather their bulls. Ranchers also stated that it can be difficult to schedule a vet in
Oh,
the
you
department
look, was
stated
that
the area of
outer
mandatory
special
trick
down there in the burnt building?
Hold on 1 second, can you, thank you.
What's on it or whatever?
Oh, where did I go? The department stated the idea of mandatory annual trick testing came from the industry, but the industry also voiced their opinion against mandatory annual trick testing through a petition sent to all of you previously. At the recent workshop, producers that were advocating mandatory trick testing were from problem trick areas or were concerned either occurred for spreading trick. If these are the trick problems, then the department should concentrate on fixing these problems, not on burdening all producers. In these workshops, the state that J.J. Boychia suggested 2 possible changes to the current regulation. One was the department be able to require a ranch test multiple years because trick sometimes resurfaces. Requiring bulls to be trick tested before and after exposure to cows, the condition of being released from a hold order is a good change that should be inserted into the rule. The department could then have the option of requiring testing for 2 more years if needed for a total of 3 years. If test results are clean every year for those 3 years, then they should not have to test further, and they should have no restrictions placed on them during those 3 years. Another suggestion was possibly requiring trick positive areas to test. How big would these areas be and how would they be determined? The current regulations require that all neighboring bulls to a positive bull have to be tested. This helps ensure that an area gets cleaned up by testing bulls that may also be trick infected. We want to thank the department for putting on the workshop. They were very informative and productive. Workshops should also be held in southern and central Nevada to enable ranchers in those areas to express their opinion on the proposed changes. These areas do not have the internet capabilities to watch via Zoom, and the phone call does not work. Also, person-to-person meetings are much more restrictive. Mandating all producers test where there is no trick code is the wrong way to go and will not ensure that problem trick areas get cleaned up. Fixing current regulations so that enforcement is effective and efficient and ensure that trick infested areas will definitely be cleaned up is a much better solution. Thank you for your time and consideration, Jennifer, Garrett, and Lily.
Thank you.
An additional comment that came in was from Brad Markowski. It was that he had two questions that came in separately. Greetings, my question for the board is, what can a small producer do when they feel like their right to farm is being violated by a city, county, or state? Who are these violations reported to, and how and what information should I be reporting? Could someone from the board please explain why there were less than 30 loans provided from the Farm Service Agency in 2022, according to the program data in the entire state and Nevada, the lowest in the entire nation? Craig Peterson also submitted public comment. He writes, good evening. I would like to comment on the lack of state participation in the NPIC poultry program. Currently, Nevada is the only contiguous state that does not participate in the National Poultry Improvement Program. The lack of participation severely limits Nevada residents' ability to export live poultry to other states and provides an economic disadvantage to residents wishing to conduct business at the hatchery. State law recognizes NPIP certified hatcheries from other states and has lesser requirements for those participating members who wish to import poultry into this state. By having different requirements for certified versus uncertified, the state is recognizing the value of the program while denying its own residents access to its benefits. I would strongly encourage Nevada's participation in the program, and as a breeder would be more than willing to support the program through fees. All we ask is that our state afford us the same opportunity as residents of the other 47 contiguous states. Thank you. And I also received a request from Doug Buckleman within Nevada Farm Bureau to make public comment.
Perfect, so yeah, and I believe he's down there, so we'll start that online. No problem.
Mr. Buckman?
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. For your record, I'm Doug Busselman. I'm the Executive Vice President of Nevada Farm Bureau. I want to direct my comments this morning to the process that has been taking place on the revisions to Nevada Administrative Code 571. I want to first commend the Department of Agriculture and the persons who have been involved in facilitating the workshops that have been held in Winnemucca, Elko, and Fallon. I also greatly appreciate having the ability to watch the recordings for the workshops that I wasn't able to attend. Whether I was in the workshop or watching the recordings, I think these sessions were excellent examples of livestock producers sharing their input and responses to the proposed regulations and doing so with meaningful comments and recommendations. I think it is important to note that there are a number of different ideas on how it would be a good to move forward with this regulatory package. It has been indicated that the department will be going back over the input and developing a next version of what has been recommended. We are anxious to see what the next version will say. Through our organization's input, we have shared that our Farm Bureau policy states that we support the operation of an effective trichomoniasis program through regulation by the Department of Agriculture and dissemination of informational education. We have also stated that we aren't convinced that mandatory annual testing of every bull in the state will be an effective approach to take. We have concerns on whether there are sufficient veterinarian resources in the state to carry out this type of program, or whether the Nevada Department of Agriculture has the capability to achieve their obligations in conducting the field work that fits with the program that's being proposed. We don't agree with the use of brand inspections as a legitimate approach for forcing compliance with annual mandatory testing for every bull that a cattleman owns. There have been options that have been raised and discussed at the workshops to this point, which offer more realistic and doable steps to address improvements to existing regulations. And we hope that those recommendations will be included for further discussion. Lastly, we want to encourage support by the board for holding additional in-person workshops in Tonopah and in Ely. We believe that livestock producers in these areas or in these other areas of the state should also be given the chance to be heard. It makes sense to prepare another version of the regulations based on the input given so far, but prior to any finalization stages, cattlemen in the parts of the state who haven't been given the opportunity for in-person workshops need to have those opportunities. Thank you very much.
Or is there any other hand raised or anything on my side? Okay.
If anybody online or joining us by phone would like to make public comments, if you're joining us online, you can cover over your name and raise your hand. Oh, I see Liam here.
We have one up here in Sparks. This is Nicole.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Oh,
Thank you for the opportunity to address the Nevada Board of Agriculture. My name is Nicole Hayes, and I am the Nevada Conservation Operations Manager with the American Wild Horse Campaign. The Virginia Range Horse Fertility Control Program, in its 4th year of cooperative agreement with AWHC and the Nevada Department of Agriculture, continues to deliver strong results. Since the program's inception in April of 2019, a total of 1,857 individual mares have been treated, with a total of 6,827 administered doses of both primer doses and ongoing booster doses of the PZP vaccine. This program is already showing marked success over a very short time frame. As from 2020 to 2022, we've achieved a 61.4% reduction in the number of foals born on the Virginia range. We are also showing population reductions in critical urban rangeland interfaces, such as our interface with the city of Reno. Additionally, our program keeps growing, and we now have 18 darters and 21 documenters active on the range, and several more in the training process. This past month alone, 148 individual mares were treated with 151 PZP doses. 5 months into the NDA's current fiscal year, 758 doses of PZP have been administered. Through our partnership with the University of Pretoria, we are currently analyzing our first 4 years of comprehensive fertility control data and are currently drafting a manuscript to be peer reviewed. We expect this manuscript to be published and publicly available in 2023. Additionally, we are on track to produce an overall population reduction in our 5th year of fertility control. We deeply value and appreciate the support we have received from the Nevada Department of Agriculture and look forward to continuing the cooperative agreement. We've been able to discuss and share the success of this collaborative program with the scientific community, other practitioners, and stakeholders at both the International Conference on Wildlife Fertility Control in Colorado Springs and the Free Summit in St. George, Utah. We've also had visiting and local scientists and experts visit the Virginia Range to see the program firsthand. We want to thank you for your continuing ongoing support and look forward to sharing our end of year data in the new year. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Leanna, Carrie, I believe.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank the department so much for holding the trick meetings, and I look forward to the meeting in Tonopah and Ely. I just want to say the Fallon meeting was very robust, and what I'm very surprised to hear a lot of these ranches do not understand how trick works, how it actually does spread. I think the direction of whomever, we should put some more education out there about how trick really is spread. A comment was made that the bulls spread it within a group, which anyway, I was just surprised. I just want to thank you so much, and let's get some more education out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments online? Any comments here? Any public comment? We good today? Hearing none, we're going to close the public comment. Board, please take a look at your minutes. It's a possible action item for September 14th, 2022.
Need a motion?
Yes, that'd be great.
Motion to accept the minutes as written.
We got a first.
No,
We got a first and a second for approval of the minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. It's so moved. Minutes are passed. All right, we're going to move to board updates. We're going to start online. We'll go to. I'll go first. We'll start on RS. There's Pete Perez.
Yes, good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Go.
Okay, well, we don't have a lot to report from here any more than we did the last report. The market's still quite suppressed and we're getting some good moisture lately, so everybody's parking water trucks and hoping that we keep getting the moisture. That's about all. I ain't gonna repeat everything I said the last time because it's still exactly the same, so. That's all I got.
Thank you. Where's next? There's Rihanna.
Mr. Craig.
Good morning. This is Charlie Frey. I represent Churchill County farmers and growers. It's most of the farmers in Churchill County are very appreciative of the additional rainfall, snowfall we've been getting in the mountains. And it looks like it's going to be a pretty good year for the water storage areas in our area. The hay prices seem to be going up. And of course, the expenses to the farmers has gone way up, especially the diesel fuel and fertilizers and other additional items like seed. Those costs have gone up, but most of the farmers are enduring the inflationary period of time with a combination of the additional income that they're expected to receive in selling their crops. Thank you very much.
What else do we have?
There's no one.
Okay. Oh, yeah, Valerie. I'll let you get this going. Sorry, Valerie, great. No,
Hi, Valerie Drake, Humboldt County Petroleum Industry. The good news, we are not having any diesel clogging issues. That has been cleared up. Thank you to the department for getting that taken care of. I have plenty of customers and other petroleum dealers that are ecstatic that they're not having any filter issues this year. Also, prices seem to be coming down, of course, supply and demand. So that's another good thing for everybody in the ag industry. Otherwise, everything's pretty quiet this time of year. Thank you.
thank you, appreciate it. Do we have anybody else out there? Board members? Start from the left and work to the right.
Paul No, in Clark County, representing the nursery industry. Not a lot to report right now. Things are slowed a little bit with the weather. And most of the nurseries are busy selling Christmas trees right now, which is a good thing for keeping the market going for a little bit during the holiday season. Other than that, not a lot to report. They're pretty quiet.
Good morning, Heather Lackey, Douglas County representing pest control. Just really super grateful for the water and the precipitation that we have. I know how it's going to benefit everyone. And I'm really looking forward to this upcoming year, starting something new and fresh. Change is good. It's pretty quiet in my industry, really, as usual. So I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Woody Worthington, General Ag. Let's see, Douglas County, agriculture as a whole, I'd like just to commend a lot of those guys for the workshops and stuff for the trick. I think that's been awesome. And the whole Department of Ag just putting forth a lot of effort and getting things done and accomplished. I know there's a lot of moving parts, ledgers coming up pretty soon. So I know that's been pretty busy, but I know just feeding cattle, keeping them warm, getting through the winter. That's kind of where we're at. So I appreciate everybody's time today and being here. Thank you.
Bernard Peterson, White Plains County, semi-range beef production. I'll support what Pete said. The sheep industry is still in a state of depression, and land prices continue to go down, and the feeder market is not good. On the other side of that, the beef cattle in the West, the feeder market is still very strong. The fat market is even stronger. We've been seeing 155 to 161 leaving the feedlot in the last week, and so that's a positive thing. On the other side of that is corn prices to get sorted out in this part of the world are pretty hot. But it's supporting the hay market in eastern Nevada. We've been moving hay in that part of the state at 360, 365 at the staff, and it's slow, and the people contracting that hay are few encouraging, but it is moving. And so there is some positive notes in agriculture. We haven't had much snow, but we've accumulated a bit, so there is some positive things taking place.
Yes, well, Lyon County, obviously the hay market is good for us too, or buy at least. Drought continues, however, we got a good shot of snow out of these last two storms, so we have a little bit of a start on a snowpack, so that's positive. The onion market is high, movement is a bit sluggish, but those are the main things. Getting the cattle fed, everything's going normal, by the way.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Dave Kuhn, representing dairy industry, Clark County. We feel as though some of the uncertainty that's existed in our industry is taking a little bit of a return. We're grateful for a little bit of stability that's coming our way. Having said that, we certainly are a reflection of everyone else's industry too, with our challenges. One thing that we have not had an issue with is safety and quality issues within our industry. And you've heard me say before, we're grateful for the oversight, for the regulatory agency, this department, and the capable and the consistent inspections we get, and everyone else is vital to, on top of the economic issues. If we were to have those other issues, that would be very difficult to face. So anyway, we continue to be grateful for that. We are grateful that people still drink milk. They understand the nutritional benefits of the product, and we believe that things are going to get better. So thank you.
All right, we're going to move to agenda item number. Thank you, everybody. I know we're so we're going to move to agenda item number 5, director's report.
Good morning, Jennifer Roth, Director of the Department of Agriculture. Thanks for everybody for being here, and those of you on Zoom. You have your report as part of the board packet here and online. I'm just going to go over some highlights, and please let me know if you have any questions after that. Drought and drought assistance is something that I and the department have been working on for several months now. One of the areas that we're really working on is that federal assistance that is offered through Farm Service Agency that just doesn't quite address Nevada producers. While I was in Washington, D.C. in September, I was able to meet with USDA. We've had some online meetings and really talking to FSA about how that drought assistance doesn't meet the need of Nevada farmers and ranchers, and that with a few language tweaks and some recalculations that could really help. So there's potentially a federal disaster assistance bill that is working its way through Congress. We'll see. We'll see if even the government's funded by the end of this week. Hopefully it will be, but the disaster assistance bill, we're hoping to have included drought assistance that makes sense for Nevada ranchers as part of that bill. So we'll see how that goes. We issued a formal letter to the administrator over FSA discussing that and explaining our case on how that program needs to change. Timing wise, Western state senators after that also sent a letter to Secretary Vilsack about drought in the West. So we're really hoping to see some movement and to see if we can't get better programming for farmers and ranchers in the state. Moving on down to Home Feeds Nevada, and I won't cover some of these federal funding topics because you'll see them in separate division reports. But I did want to call out that our Home Feeds Nevada program is up and running. Thus far, we purchased $61,000 of locally grown or processed foods for deliveries to food banks. Our goal through the winter is $100,000 a month to be able to purchase from farmers, ranchers, and processors.
so that we can get those also to delivered. Food banks are hurting and short on supply. And so supporting farmers, ranchers, and processors in our state and Nevada businesses to help our food insecure populations is really communities helping communities, and what we're trying to do with that program. It's off the ground and we're gaining steam. So we're very excited about that. Moving on to other food topics is the universal school meals. This past summer, the legislature approved ARPA funding for universal school meals. We received that funding tomorrow at the next interim finance committee. I will be requesting funding for an additional year of universal school meals. What we have seen through tremendous efforts from our schools to enroll children in free and reduced lunch is that the need in Nevada has gone up significantly. The numbers as of September is that from school year 2019 to 2020, approximately 65% of public school districts were free and reduced lunch. And in this school year, 73% of children are free and reduced lunch. So that's almost a 10% increase of children that qualify for free and reduced lunch. So we definitely know that the need is out there. Because there are more free and reduced lunch applications, the allocation of federal money that have come into the state has increased. So we were not using as many ARPA funds as we anticipated. And so we think with just a little help from the legislature, we can fund the second school year. So that's what we're looking at for this IFC tomorrow. I haven't brought it up in the past, but I wanted to highlight, we're continuing to partner with the Department of Health and Human Services on farmer and rancher stress assistance. This is an assistance program that was developed by USDA. We haven't talked a lot about it in Nevada as we are the lead agency, but through funding from USDA, we are the ones who are funding it. And this is providing rural communities and specifically targeted to the agriculture industry, counseling resources, mental health resources for any of those that are struggling, particularly in our rural areas. So I wanted to highlight that as an effort in a partnership that we've created. At the end of September, beginning of October, I was able to attend the White House Conference on Hunger, Food, and Nutrition. This was a one-day conference sponsored by the White House, Department of Health and Human Services, the federal level, USDA, and I believe the Department of Education as well, to discuss food insecurity in the United States and potential programming moving forward from a federal level. And so that was it was an honor to be there representing the state of Nevada. And there weren't too many departments of agriculture. I believe I was the only Department of Agriculture to attend that conference. So it was an honor to attend that and to sort of understand where potentially the next stage of food insecurity and USDA programs will be heading. So it was a wonderful day. It was very interesting, and we're looking forward to carrying out new programs potentially to help the state. While I was there, I was able to meet with USDA NRCS's leadership in DC to discuss NRCS programs in the state and the lack of adoption of NRCS programs in the state, frankly, because some of them don't make sense, again, for Nevada, and basically talking about how we can transition some of those programs at a federal level so that we can address Nevada issues. Such a huge reliance on cover crops. We don't have enough water for cover crops. There's also a reliance on other technologies that don't really make sense for our farmers and ranchers in the state. So from a leadership level, it was nice to provide a voice to those issues so that they can consider how to adjust their programs for Western issues. And finally, I just wanted to highlight again, we, as with many state agencies, are continuing to experience vacancies. that we just ask for patience. We are trying to hire as quickly as possible. But it's just sort of the reality of the world we live in right now. That, it's hard to hire for those state employees, so just wanted to call that out. And then we have one more item in the director's report that we would like to recognize the gentleman here today.
Absolutely.
Want to take over?
Yeah, absolutely. Mr. Garland, can you come up and, Marlon's been on the board for a couple of days now. He's an asset, obviously, Commissioner, Lincoln County. He's done really well. We appreciate what he's done and his contributions and all that, for the department, the board, back. So, without further ado, I'm going to hand this off. You don't know the man of words, so, but thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. The floor is yours. Go ahead. What you got?
I can take a minute. I was gonna do it in public comment, but I want to start with a thank you. And it's a privilege it has been to associate, work with the individuals on this board over the last 4, 5, 6 years. It's been an honor. When I first come on to this board, my vision of the Department of Agriculture was maybe a little different than the direction that we've taken. It was more of an advocacy between the people that we represent, our different departments that we represent across the spectrum that the Board of Agriculture covers. And rather than a regulatory board or a regulatory system, an agency from the state, I would have rather seen us move in the direction of the advocacy point of it, to where, and I'll back up here a little bit, because right now, I mean, I was reflecting and you know, stepping down from this board, and it has made me reflect a little bit on where we've come. And so I started at the age of 12 with my first bunch of cows. Went and got a long blood cows. And I've been in that industry ever since. And then through that industry, we went through a lot of roller coaster rides with wild horses and sage grouse and turtles and everything that impacted the grazing industry. That's what I'm familiar with. And a lot of the other industries that it impacts, the mining industry and we represent as agriculture. And to this day, the state has yet to step up, any board, any division, and say, do you need some help? What can we assist you with? I mean, how hard would it be when a BLM comes in and says, we're going to cut you 60%? I mean, we have the staff, we have the laboratories, been through the laboratories. How hard would it be to send a team out and do an evaluation of that allotment and say, federal government, you're crap. This doesn't warrant a 60% cut. Or the dairy industry, where they come in and the feds come in and just stomp all over them and try to bully them into doing something that's not. They follow it, they don't make money. You know, they can't compete. It kicks them out of the competition. The state agencies need to step up to the plate and protect the citizens. We're citizens of the United States, but we're also citizens of the state of Nevada. And when the feds hand down regulations that we don't like, nobody says anything. They just, oh, okay, come on, we'll just suck it up and whatever you say goes. Nobody ever pushes back. And as a state and the different departments and agencies that are administered through the governor's office, we need to change that. And with that, thanks once again for your assistance, and it's been fun working with you. I've enjoyed the last few years. It's been great. Get to know you. Thank you. Thank you.
Any questions for Director Rob before we move on? I do. Meat processing, what we kind of went over it a little bit. Can you kind of fill us in where we're at with that?
Yes, absolutely. So, and you'll receive a presentation from our project manager for that program at the animal industry report. So, but as far as the status, we have a project manager hired. She'll introduce herself momentarily as part of that agenda item, and has been meeting with USDA has been working with other states to review what their regulations are to get a meat processing inspection program up and going in the state of Nevada. And and she's drafted an initial set of regulations here, and we're hoping to go to workshop this winter on those and start the process of getting industry input on those regulations. So we're getting closer.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Anybody else have any questions for Director Ott? Moving to agenda item number 6, food and nutrition. Patricia, hope.
Good morning.
Oh, Alma, you're there. All right.
Good morning. I'm Anushapur, Administrator for Food and Nutrition Division. I start with a pending matter of significance. We received $3 million in third round of supply chain assistance to distribute to school food authorities to help the school districts that are experiencing supply chain issues. And this fund has to be used for purchase of domestic food products that are unprocessed or minimally processed. And this will be added to another $7 million that we got in July, and we will distribute that to the school food authorities. In terms of partnership, we are continuing our partnership with the Department of Health and Human Services, the Division of Welfare and Supportive Service, and also Nevada Department of Education on pandemic PEBT. We are currently working with Division of Welfare and Supportive Services to help them with the execution of the PEBT plan for school year 21-22, and we are going to work with them to plan for school year 22-23. We are also continuing our collaboration with the Division of Public and Behavioral Health regarding their obesity prevention and helping with them to promote obesity prevention activities. And the same way we are working collaborating with the Southern Nevada Obesity Prevention Coalition. Program update, food distribution. We are continuing to serve clients through our emergency food assistance program through 2 food banks of Northern Nevada and 3 Square. I listed the number of individuals, but overall, from July to September, we have served over 400,000 individuals, and we distributed over 3.6 million pounds of food. For the commodity supplemental food program, we serve on average 1,800 seniors from July to October, and we provided monthly food package to the income eligible seniors. With Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program, we closed this program on September 15, and we distributed over 4,600 coupon booklets. We worth $45 each to our community partner that in turn they distribute that to the income eligible seniors. And we provided through this program $128,000 in purchasing power for Nevada farmers and the farmers market stands. And also we purchased bulk by around about $35,000 to distribute to seniors. We have currently 54 farmers certified to accept the coupon at the Nevada Farmers Market. We also utilized $6 million in ARPA funds to create a grant to enhance food access in underserved areas. We received 25 applications from community organizations and tribal government. We awarded 14 communities, and the goal of this grant is to have about projects that will expand food access in underserved rural, tribal, and urban areas. We also awarded $3 million to Food Bank of Northern Nevada to complete a project to increase food storage and distribution capacity in rural Nevada. In November, we released a request for proposal to award the Nevada-based entities to develop a data collection methodology to track overall the food insecurity data in Nevada. This is about $500,000 of ARPA money. And our hope is and expectation is this project to provide an annual report that can be gathered and provide an accurate and robust picture of food insecurity at the state level. For school nutrition, we approved 73 program sponsors, and I listed the meals served, over 11 million meals lunch and over about 6 million breakfasts. We also received several grants from USDA. We received additional $400,000 from USDA for National School Lunch Program Equipment Assistance Grant. This grant will help school authorities to receive free food service equipment, and we received 19 applications, and we were able to award all 19 applicants. We also received $850,000 for farm to school program to help provide administrative funds for this program, and we would subgrant this to partners to help us provide agricultural education in the classroom and build and increase the school ability to procure and use local foods. We also received $1.6 million from USDA for local purchase food for schools that will help us to use this fund, will help schools to use this fund to purchase food that are produced in Nevada or within the 40-mile radius of the school. For community nutrition, we completed all the compliance reviews for summer food service program, and we served 1.7 million meals through child and adult care food program, and over 700,000 meals for our summer food service program. This concludes my report. Questions?
Oh, thank you very much. Sorry, we were distracted by a big loud pump in here. So thank you so much for what you do. That's pretty remarkable. Providing for the kids and in your service and all that stuff. Any questions for Alma, the board? That's good.
Right, this is Bernard Peterson. All of this, I have a question when it comes to the emergency assistance program for the schools and other recipients, the elderly. What is it that in your department that drives the purchasing for a healthier diet? Because you have a focus on obesity treatment and obesity prevention. But in the purchasing side of the food assistance and some of those same recipients, is there a focus, or is there somebody in the purchasing side of the purchasing agents that we don't buy potato chips, we buy celery, or we don't buy Coca-Cola, we buy milk? I mean, is there something that drives for a healthier diet?
Well, are you asking question about the emergency food assistance programs through the 2 food banks, or the emergency assistance purchase for a school? If it is for a school, there is
So there is a criteria what you can supply.
There is a criteria that comes from USDA, and there is a meal pattern that we have to follow, make sure that all the components of food are in the menu for a school, and also for the emergency food, the emergency assistance programs. It contains meat, vegetables, and the package. The only package that we try to improve is the commodity food as supplemental food programs that is for seniors that didn't contain. It was a food package that didn't contain fruit, fresh fruit and vegetables, and we through ARPA fund we provided funds to our organizations, community organizations, to provide fresh food and vegetables and produce for our. So a lot of it is dictated by the USDA, and there is a meal pattern going on, and also the ones that we have discretion, we are trying to make sure that we are providing healthy package for our clients.
Thank you.
Any questions for anyone? All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to mention that this is my last presentation as I'm retiring at the end of the month. It has been a great pleasure to work at the department and honored to know so many people, and I learned a lot, and I hope I contributed to. So it was a great pleasure to working with all of you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Thank you. Good luck in your future endeavors for sure.
How many years?
20.
Yes, go ahead, Rick.
I just wanted to recognize Homeowner Support in front of the board here. When Homa has always had great responsibility at the department as being the head of the food and nutrition division. But nothing was more evident of her leadership and her team than those first months of the pandemic. The state of Nevada was the first to get waivers for schools and for non-congregate meal sites because her team saw what was coming and knew what was coming and was prepared for it. They have staff that monitor their commodity websites, and anytime food comes available, we have more trucks with food coming to the state of Nevada than most Western states because her team is absolutely on it. So just wanted to recognize her and her team and just a well-deserved retirement that she's facing. So congratulations so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Moving to agenda item number 7, measurements and stamp.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For those of you in other offices on Zoom, please excuse the back of my head. It's just the logistical challenge of this room. So sorry, I'll speak up as loudly as I can. Good morning. You have our division update in your packet, and I won't go over all of the things in there, but there are a few things that I want to call out. Starting with some follow-up on the news that board member Drake already reported to you, which is the great news that the persistent diesel filter clogging issue appears to be resolved once and for all. The details of that resolution are in your report, and I just want to say thank you to the members of the board and to industry for your understanding and patience. I know that it was very frustrating to have had that issue take as long as it did, but that we were deliberate and diligent in completing all of the scientific evaluation that we needed to be sure that we were reaching the correct conclusion and implementing the correct mitigation efforts. So thank you for your patience and understanding while we work through that. We have had a number of meetings with some key industry stakeholders to verify that the problems aren't persisting. They reported that they have not seen that, and given the quite cold temperatures that we've been experiencing in the north in the last few weeks, we do have confidence that that change that was made to the drag reducing agent pipeline has resolved that issue. So thank you again for your understanding and patience. The next item that I do want to quickly go over, second item under pending matters of significance in your report, has to do with advertising violation of our laws and regulations regarding advertising of petroleum products. As you'll see later in the report in our program updates, we given the high price of fuel, consumers have been even more attentive to things related to pricing of motor vehicle fuels. And as a result of that, it's come to our attention that we actually do have a relatively widespread problem throughout the industry of what I would characterize as technical violations of petroleum advertising laws and regulations. These are not things that we believe are intended to deceive consumers or the public, but nonetheless, they are violations of the law. We, in working with the Petroleum Marketers Convenience Store Association, understand from them that correction of these things, mostly it's going to be replacement fines. That in the current market with supply chain and labor constraints is going to take some time. And so last month in her position as department director and state dealer of measuring standards director, sent a letter to the petroleum marketers letting them know that while we would continue to issue notices of violation, that we will extend the period for correction of those violations until January 1, 2024. So really give industry a little more than a year to address those things. We did stipulate in that letter, and it is here in your report, that if we find violations that don't appear to be of a technical nature and really do appear intended to deceive consumers, that we will take immediate action and require immediate correction of those. But in this case, it has to do with size of numbers of letters on signs, uniformity, colors, these kinds of things, which are important. But again, we don't get it if it's something that's intentional, intended to deceive. And so under the current circumstances, it would allow additional time for the course. Appreciate the industry working with us and understanding the need to come to compliance. A good collaboration there. The next item, which is also included under pending matters of significance, relates to enforcement of regulations for specifications and operations of electric vehicle charging equipment. That industry, quite frankly, got well out ahead of the weight and measures community, expanded quickly. There has been a tentative code in the National Institute of Standards and Technology handbooks that we adopt by reference. It's been in place for many, many years. And this past summer, there was a priority item brought before the National Conference of Weights and Measures to make that code permanent as of January 1st, 2023, which generally speaking is a good thing. From our perspective, there's one portion of that permanent code that's particularly concerning to us, and some other components that probably still need some evaluation. And that is that permanent code will not include any consideration of grandfathering for equipment that is already in the ground. And that's a great concern to us that by enforcing against that code on January 1, a good percentage of the infrastructure that's in place in our state would be non-compliant. And so again, in her capacity as the state dealer director, issued a letter in so earlier in the last few months, indicating that we would not be taking any enforcement action against that code for the upcoming calendar year as well. There are some proposals that are making their way through the National Conference on Weights and Measures currently. The next meeting of the NCWM will be in January, and Dr. Shusky will be attending that. Depending upon sort of the way that we see that those proposals are moving forward, if there will be an inclusion of a grandfathering clause, we may just hold off and see what comes through for 2024. If it doesn't appear that that will be the case, then in all likelihood, we will initiate a process to promulgate our own regulation in the Nevada Administrative Code to address those things. That certainly will keep industry and the board up to date with that as we continue that process. In your report package, a number of updates on our regulations. Pleased to note that since your last meeting, we have had 2 regulations that were approved by the Legislative Commission. As you know, you have a hearing for an additional one later on your agenda. And then we have 1 additional hearing for adoption regulations that have been in works that will be scheduled to take place on Monday. We're hopeful that that will move forward. As of right now, we don't expect any changes or concerns to come up. Of course, they can at the last minute, but it's our goal to get that file transmitted to the Legislative Council Bureau on Monday, so that it could be included in their upcoming Legislative Commission at the end of December for adoption. And that leaves us with just 1 pending regulation file right now. Out for economic impact survey, which closes this Friday of this week, and so the division will continue to move that one forward. Some various changes regarding weights and measures. Somewhat technical. There are some fee increases. We are going to look at increasing the fees that our metrology lab charges. You will remember that fiscal analysis that we did on those labs, now a lab, a year or two ago. So continuing to be sure that that program remains fiscally stable. Those are included in there as well. You have our program updates, performance measures, reporting there. I won't go through any of that, and please answer any questions that members of the board have.
You're off the hook. Anybody have any questions? Actually, yeah, let's go.
Bernard Peterson for the record. I wanted to ask you about so from Alamo to Austin to Winnemucca, there are almost everywhere you go there, you can see the new charging stations being built and the install being done.
Yes.
So within the department, that's a whole nother segment of regulation, not regulating, but monitoring. And so you've staffed that, you have monitoring devices, you can actually go out and determine whether or not that charging station is accurately charging the amount of money that they say they're going to charge to recharge the Tesla for electricity versus a gas pump, so many gallons in a jug, right?
Yes, so for the record, Kate, Administrator for the Division of Measurement Services. The simple answer is yes, there's more detail behind that. So that absolutely falls within the authority of
Yes.
the duties of this department and the Division of Measurement Standards. We are in the process of building and implementing that program right now.
So currently there's no monitoring.
So currently there is not. Again, that that industry got well out ahead of weights and measures officials. For AC type charging, so the slower charging, not the fast charging. There is equipment available that can test and verify that the correct amount of electricity that is being that it says is being delivered and charged is accurate. We were successful in coordinating with the Governor's Office of Energy to receive some grant funding to purchase one of those test measures for the department. That the state's purchasing agency just concluded a solicitation for that, and following the appeal period on that award, will be issuing a purchase order for that piece of equipment on December 20th. And so we will have one of those available to us. Our intent is to go out and execute a pilot program where we would take that piece of equipment out into the field from Winnemucca to Tonopah
And randomly test.
and randomly test site for a number of different purposes. To see, again, look at that code to be sure that it works for Nevada.
Yeah.
Identify if there's anything in there that we would potentially want to change, either through the national process or for our regulations. To see what logistical and operational challenges we might have as a department. And then to do some time study of what it actually takes for our inspectors to conduct those inspections.
Well, it'll have to be fee-based.
It most definitely will. And so we want to use this opportunity to do an analysis of what that time is, so that when we implement the fee and licensing schedule and requirements for that, we're doing it on a data-driven basis rather than sort of guessing, frankly, at what we think it will be. And so because the code had been tentative, we had not been enforcing against it. It was a tentative code we couldn't enforce against it. So we are not currently requiring licensing, registration, inspection. If we get a complaint, depending upon the nature of the complaint, we would investigate it. Certainly if we have a complaint that someone thought that a piece of equipment was safe, we would go out and work with them. But right now, we are not enforcing. It's not our intent to enforce during calendar year 2023. But really use this period to get that piece of equipment, get our staff trained. They've been to some initial training with the Western Weights and Measures Association. We have a draft standard operating procedure that's written that they'll go out into the field and test, do some proof of concept on. But certainly as the transition of electrification of transportation in our state, country, increases, this will be, you know, it will become an increasingly greater part of the efforts that happen in this division. And so, this is how we're addressing it right now, but again, because we didn't have the technology, we didn't have enforceable regulations, there is still not a traceable standard for VC charging. There's this,
And there's got to be something in development. Yeah.
it is in development. The metrologists at NIST are working on it. But there are legal concerns about enforcing against something that you don't have a traceable standard. So I will tell you,
It's hard to put it in the bucket.
it really is hard. Yes, you can't pour it out. You can't look at it. You can't use a sight glass to say yes for sure.
Part of that observation is, I've made a couple trips back and forth to Oregon recently, and almost every charging station that you come by, there's a non-functional pump, right? I mean, pretty much everywhere you go, there's some kind of mechanical failure with the charging system. And so it makes me wonder the accuracy of that cost to the consumer.
Yes.
You know, without some kind of an ironclad monitoring program. So yeah, I agree with what you're saying, and the development of your program is a necessity. So, thank you.
Any other questions? Thanks for getting ahead of that. It's coming. Absolutely.
Here.
It's not here.
Yeah, exactly. Anybody else? So we're gonna actually have a hearing, so I'll have to call board to recess. And then we'll start the hearing. I have a script here, so, and it's discussion proposal of LCD file number R03821 RP2. So here we go. Good afternoon, or good morning, sorry. Thank you for opportunity to hold the hearing during the scheduled Nevada Board of Agriculture meeting today. It is 10:09 on Wednesday, December 14th, 2022. And this is a public hearing for adoption of regulations and amend chapter 590 of the Nevada Administrative Code. These regulations have been assigned file number R038-21 by Nevada Legislative Council Bureau. This public hearing is being held both in person and virtually via Zoom. For all who are interested, the hearing has been properly noticed and being recorded as required by Nevada Open Meeting Law. All right, Bill. Is he out there?
Good morning. I guess this is a mic check. Can everyone hear me clearly?
Yes, Bill. Clear.
Excellent. Excellent. And I look forward to passing this football back and forth with you, Mr. Chair. And yes, thank you to Chair Worthington and the board for allowing us to hold this hearing today. My name is Bill Strajewski, and I am the Senior Petroleum Chemist for the Division of Measurement Standards. I'd like to quickly review the rulemaking process that we've gone through so that you have some background on what has been done and the next steps. As the first step, the NDA reviewed the existing NAC language, updating sections due to passage of Assembly Bill 411 by the 81st session of the Nevada Legislature. Included in AB 411 was the granting of approval for the sale of gasoline containing up to 15% by volume of ethanol, provided that certain requirements are met. The draft that we're reviewing in this hearing is the most updated version of the proposed changes. The department then distributed a small business impact survey for industry input. That information was compiled and a statement was included with the hearing notice for this file and as part of your board packet. A workshop was held on April 6th of 2022. Shortly after that, comments from some stakeholders led to further discussions involving the chair of the Assembly Natural Resources Committee, the sponsoring legislator, LCB personnel, and NDA staff, including Director Ott, Administrator Matijevich, and myself. It was decided at that meeting to extend the time to promulgate regulations and to work further on the LCB draft file. The continued work centered around a section concerning a vapor pressure waiver that you can see in section 2A and 2B of the draft file. Although this waiver exists in the current federal regulations, it is the current subject of ongoing litigation. That's the reason why there are two different sections referencing different dates of federal regulation. I want to be clear that this is not to be interpreted as a policy statement on the waiver as it pertains to E15, and that the department stands ready to amend the regulations if they're adopted when the litigation around this vapor pressure waiver is concluded. So after working with LCB further, a second workshop was held on November 7th of this year to review what was at that point the latest LCB draft file, R038-21 RP1. At that workshop, an attendee noted that an internet link in the draft did not reach the desired federal regulation, specifically in section 2B. We were able to get that corrected and approved as a new draft by the LCB in time to be posted for this hearing. That draft, file number R038-21 RP2, is what you have in your board packet. And I just like to make the statement, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the staff at LCB, including the file drafter, for helping us on a very tight schedule. We had days to work with, and they turned around and we got this latest draft so that we could present it today instead of in March's meeting. Now, if the board approves this draft, it is then considered adopted by the Nevada Board of Agriculture and is submitted for review and approval by the Legislative Commission. The next meeting of the Legislative Commission has been scheduled for Wednesday, December 28th, 2022. And finally, after approval by the Legislative Commission or in Legislative Commission, the Legislative Counsel Bureau will file the regulation with the Secretary of State, and this is the point where the adopted regulation would be effective. Back to you, Mr. Chair.
All right, so this scheduled hearing and intent to adopt process regulations is the next step, like you said, in the rulemaking process. We have asked LCB to approve and early review for the file, depending on the scheduled date of the December Legislative Commission meeting relative to the hearing, because the meeting was scheduled for December 28th, like you said. We will proceed.
Right.
If the board approves this draft, it is then considered adopted by the Nevada Board of Agriculture and submitted for review and approval of Legislative Commission. After approval of the Legislative Commission's subcommittee to the review regulations, the Legislative Counsel Bureau will file the regulations with the Secretary of the State. That is the point of the adopted regulations would be effective. All right, from the agenda, you will see with the period of open comment, anyone wishing to speak in concern or provide input, this time is meant to collect your statements of feedback, and the hearing organizers will now respond to comments provided during this time. As such, we invite you to hold your questions until the point in the agenda. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes and ensure everyone can be heard. Following open comment, we will review the proposed changes to the NAC 590, followed by time for questions and clarifications. After questions, there will be another period for additional public comment on proposed changes. I'd like to open the floor for public comment on LCB file number R038-21. Zoom. Anybody out there? Hands up.
At this time, I do not see any hands raised. We did have, there was public comment that was submitted, that's included here in our packet.
Perfect. Go ahead.
Written public comment. Would you like to read it?
Yes, please. That was this one right here, environmental protection. Yeah. Just that's a lot of public comment. We got 3 minutes, right? Let's see. Let me take a look at it. Not even really a summary. Go ahead, let's go. 3 minutes, you got it, Sam.
This is from the Nevada Division of Environmental Protection. I'm from Deputy Administrator Jeffrey Kinder. Following the workshop to solicit comments on proposed regulations R038-21 NDEP1, which is revising existing regulations to allow for the sale of gasoline containing not more than 15% ethanol by volume if the gasoline meets certain requirements. Conducted on November 7th, 2022, then the Nevada Division of Environmental Protection submits the following updated comments on the draft regulation. NDEP is not proposing any changes to the proposed regulation and supports the inclusion of requirements for E15 fuel dispenser labeling and E15 compatibility with underground storage tanks as detailed below. NDEP supports the inclusion of section 590.065.7 B2 and 3 that require the gasoline manufacturer, oxygen blend or oxygen producer that introduces or into commerce, sells or offers such gasoline for sale is in compliance with the E15 fueling mitigation survey requirement set forth in 40 CFR 1090.1420. And the retailer or wholesale purchaser consumer applies the label to the fuel dispenser in compliance with requirements set forth in 40 CFR 1090.1510. NDEP also supports the inclusion of 590.065.7 B4 that requires the underground storage tanks used to store the gasoline are in compliance with the requirements set forth in subsection 2 of NAC 459.993. NDEP's Bureau of Air Pollution Control and Air Quality Planning E15 fuel dispenser labeling. Per Federal Register, Volume 86, Number 11, E15 fuel dispenser labeling and compatibility with underground storage tanks, January 19th, 2021. EPA currently requires fuel dispenser labels for gasoline ethanol blends greater than 10% volume ethanol and up to 15% volume ethanol E15. The label was designed to alert consumers to the appropriate and lawful use of the fuel. EPA further states in the FR, those regulations, Senior Act 211C, refers to as the fueling mitigation rule, were needed to implement EPA's affirmative determinations that the use of E15 in model year 2000 and older light duty motor vehicles, all heavy duty gasoline engines and vehicles, all on and off highway motorcycles, and all non-road products would cause or contribute to the impairment of these vehicles and engines emissions controls and harm public health from increases in regulated emissions. This fueling can result in increases in emissions of criteria air pollutants such as carbon monoxide, nitrous oxide, and particulate matter, as well as volatile organic compounds, which can result in greater production of ground level ozone. Additionally, misfueling can result in greater emissions of air toxics. The transportation sector is a significant contributor to air emissions, and it should be noted that in Clark County, the Las Vegas Valley was designated marginal non-attainment for the 8-hour 2015 Ozone National Ambient Air Quality Standard in August 2018. Washoe County is currently designated an attainment for the 2015 Ozone NAAQS. However, recent ozone levels have been close to 100% of the NAAQS. And in Carson City, Douglas, ozone levels are also approaching the NAAQS. EPA is expected to review and potentially revise the current ozone standard by the end of 2023, possibly making it more stringent. It is NDEP's understanding, based on Department of Motor Vehicles data, that there are over 280,000 pre-2000 vehicles registered in Nevada as of April 2021, and this does not include vehicles that do not require registration. NDEP's Bureau of Corrective Action E15 compatibility with underground storage tanks. Per Federal Register, Volume 86, Number 11, E15 fuel dispenser labeling and compatibility with underground storage tanks, January 19, 2021. EPA states the following. It is important for USTs to be constructed, maintained, and operated in a manner so that petroleum and other regulated substances are stored safely. Incompatibility between fuel stored in UST system materials can result in equipment or components such as tanks, piping, gaskets, or seals becoming brittle, elongated, thinner, or swollen when compared with their condition when first installed. When this occurs, the UST system may fail to contain the regulated substance, resulting in a release to the environment and possibly a failure to detect the release. Changes in the fuel supply have caused unintended consequences to UST systems, including equipment failure and releases to the environment. As a result, in 2015, EPA revised the UST regulation and required owners and operators to provide additional notification, demonstration, and record keeping when storing fuel blends such as those with more than 10% ethanol or more than 20% biodiesel. NDEP supports the inclusion 590.065.7B4 that references NAC 459.993, which is the section of the storage tank regulation that addresses the adoption by reference of certain provisions of federal regulations regarding underground storage tanks. This section adopts by reference 40 CFR Part 280.32 as it existed on October 13th, 2015. This section requires notification and demonstration of compatibility for changes in fuel supply.
And this was by Jeffrey Kinderby. Thank you, Sam. I appreciate the public comments. That was awesome. You were right at 3. You did really awesome. Good job. Bill, I'm going to hand it off to you. Or any other public comments? Sorry. Hearing them, we're going to close public comments. Go ahead, Bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The department is proposing changes and additions to Nevada Administrative Code, Chapter 590. These regulation changes are necessary to incorporate into Chapter 590 the contents of Assembly Bill 411 as enacted by the 81st session of the Nevada Legislature in 2021. At this time, I'd like to review the proposed changes and additions to this file R038-21RP2 in detail. I'll note at this time that during the November 7th, 2022 workshop, there were a number of comments and questions, primarily for clarification, and as well the comment that led to this most recent draft. Following the workshop, the Nevada Division of Environmental Protection submitted written comments, as you heard during the public comment period, and these comments have been included in the board packet and as a PDF on the Board of Agriculture meeting page on the Department of Agriculture website. LCB file number R038-21RP2 amends subsections within NAC Chapter 590, sections 065 and 066 to allow for the sale of gasoline containing up to 15% by volume of ethanol. Section 1 concerns amendments to NAC 590.065. Subsection 1 is updated to reflect the current purchase price from ASTM International for the standard specification for spark ignition engine fuel adopted by reference. The draft file shows a price of $78, but as of this date, the current price is $82. We have addressed that price change with LCB during the review of other regulation updates. It adds new subsections 2 and 3. Subsection 2 adopts by reference certain provisions of the Code of Federal Regulations, Title 40. Subsection 3 provides information on how interested parties may inspect these regulations, either at an office of the Nevada Department of Agriculture or on the internet. It renumbers the current subsection 2 as subsection 4. Subsection 3 is renumbered as subsection 5, and within that subsection, reference to subsection 4 is updated to subsection 6. New language is added concerning the issuance of waivers, either through NAC 590.066 or through the US EPA. And reference to 10% by volume ethanol is struck and replaced with 15% by volume ethanol. As I said, subsection 4 is renumbered as subsection 6. Subsection 5 is renumbered as subsection 7, and it clarifies text relating to prohibitions related to gasoline. A new subsection 8 adds requirements for the storage and sale of gasoline containing more than 10%, but not more than 15% by volume ethanol. And a new subsection 9 updates reference to the state sealer of consumer equitability to state sealer of measurement standards. Section 2 concerns amendments to NAC 590.066, and subsection 1 is updated to amend language concerning waivers issued by the director of the NDA or a designee. At this point, Mr. Chairman, I would be happy to take questions regarding these proposed changes.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Bill. I'd like to just say thank you to the department for putting this together and also the public as well and private industry really looking at this and moving it forward and really seeing how important it is. And then we really appreciate what we have here. So we're gonna move now to public comment for anyone wishing to make a statement for record and consideration.
Are there any questions for me from the board?
Any board, do you have any questions? No. Subsection change. Okay. Not hearing any, we're gonna go ahead and thank you for all your participation. We're gonna, go ahead. Oh, there was a question, sorry. Stand corrected. Standing by, we're not closing.
Yeah, sorry, this is Kyle Call. Can I make a comment?
Sure, go ahead, Kyle.
My name is Kyle Call. I'm with Maverick. I just want to appreciate and second year thanks to the division for their work on this regulation and for their hard work in getting it done. That's all I'd like to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Hearing any more public comment? All right, we'll take that in consideration, that comment under consideration along with written comments and received during rulemaking process. Written comments will be accepted until the close of business today at December 14th, 2022. Following today's hearing, the NDA will consider comments and take action to adopt the proposed regulations and submit for review and approval by Legislative Commission. If based upon the comments received today, the NDA determines a substantive modification to the regulation presented during today's hearing are warranted, an additional hearing will be noticed and prior to adoption. All right, thank you for allowing me the time. I have to close public comment. I never closed it. Sorry. And then thank you for allowing me the time. The hearing for attending is adjourned and it's 10. What's up? Oh, we have to vote. Yeah, we have to, it's in action. Yeah.
If I may,
Yes, go ahead.
Peyton Smithievich, Administrator for the Division of Measurement Standards. Forgive us a little bit of descriptive when we're conducting hearings that aren't under the board's authority. And so you do need to take the action now to vote either to adopt or not adopt the proposed regulation at the board's determination. As you indicated, comments can still be sent to the department if something were to be received that would be a substantive change. Any reason to anticipate that, then we would bring it up to you, but we would be asking for your vote today so that we can submit it to the Legislative Commission for approval.
Awesome. Thank you for that correction. We're going to make it, so I'll need a motion for adoption on this.
So moved.
All right, there's a first for adoption and a second. So there's a first and a second. All in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. It's so moved, the adoption is done. Thank you. Appreciate that. I was like, what? I'm sorry. So yeah, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to close this this out. So we're gonna take a recess from our other boards. So we'll give people time to take a breather. So, all right, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and the board. Appreciate it.
All right. Bill. I think it's 10.
How long is the break going to be?
10 minutes.
Thanks.
I know, right? Good night. The change.
My brain.
Thank you. You were right.
I can't read that fast.
Sam. Perfect. Thank you. All right, we're get everything out. We're waiting for some. All right, we got everybody back. So we got that done. We appreciate that. We're moving to agenda item number 8, client health and compliance. Ashley, is she there?
It'll be Megan.
Yeah.
Megan.
Here.
Oh, hi, Megan. How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm great, thank you. For the record, my name is Megan Brown. I'm the Deputy Administrator for the Plant Health and Compliance Division. I will start out with the report and then we can move forward to agenda item or the Part B, pending matters of significance. Last week, we held a hearing for our proposed changes to Nevada Administrative Code 555 and 586. We had several participants, but no substantive requests for changes. And so we're moving forward with those changes. Those changes include a proposed fee for the plant pathology and entomology sections of code, and as well as pest control applications being made in response to new federal requirements and legislation adopted during the 81st legislative session. Those are moving through the process. We have a few last minute items to get to the Legislative Commission, a few more I's dotted and T's crossed, but we hope that that will be on the agenda for the December 28th Legislative Commission. Those changes also update the use of UAVs, or unmanned aerial vehicles, for pesticide application. I know that there was some previous discussion during board meetings related to that. So this removes some of the more rigorous having to have a pilot's license and meeting new federal regulations for the use of and regulations for UAVs. I want to highlight a few of our partnership activities. We continue to work and have a strong partnership with the U.S. Forest Service's private forestry program. We have subawarded 2 grants through that process, as well as received some funding through the bipartisan infrastructure law bill for $30,000, and we hope to have that be an annual through this process. We are continuing to engage through the Nevada Department of Transportation when we hold a position in our noxious weed team. That staff has reviewed 23 mitigation plans and accepted 17 of those. We have good coordination with NDOT and continue to expand that program, not only through their construction, but with their maintenance teams through training activities. The plant pathology is continuing to work on winter grow outs for potatoes and for pathogens. The seed program has successfully worked with our foundation, or the start of our foundation seed program. We secured funding to purchase seed to give to growers to start growing native seed on their landscapes. We had 2 successful applicants in our fall application, and applications are open now for our spring application, which is due in February. We also saw an increase in source identification and inspections, and those are what identifications that we go out and for wildland collected seed up to 114. And as I said, over 3,000 potato tubers were planted in our greenhouse for the winter grow out. Entomology is continuing to work through their survey systems. They set out 1,700 traps this year. They're continuing to work through those samples. Our entomologist is currently down in Las Vegas working on some of those, as well as doing and setting up delimiting surveys for our imported fire ant. The department is also currently working in our pest control operation to meet the needs of our ag container recycling program, as well as with our partners. And so that has continued to see a large uptick. Chemistry is continuing to work and support both the hemp program, as well as the water quality and water sampling processes. We're establishing refining methods for heavy metal detection so that we can meet those needs as well. Moving to crops, the department is working with our partners to hold different workshops, or excuse me, not workshops, but learning programs, food safety programs, and I've seen some good engagement in that process. Hemp is slowed down, as been mentioned in previous board meetings. We had good compliance. As you can see, there's a lot of statistics in our board report. I won't go through all of them, but our samples and sampling have been down, but our non-compliance has also been down. So we've been able to work with our growers and seen the alignment there related to hemp compliance. staff have also started a new food safety training program that is happening on the last Friday of each month. And those sessions will continue. Nursery has seen no sort of decline or uptick in their licensing. We licensed 955 nurseries as of September. We've continued to work through compliance and quarantine issues with our federal partners at APHIS PPQ. And I'll leave it at that. If anybody has any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? Good job. Keep it up.
It's a busy, diverse division for sure.
Absolutely. All right, what you?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, item B, we'll move to there, so. I think she's over there. Who's got it? Who's on it?
Yeah, sorry, I have it pulled up on the other screen. So this is to approve purchase orders to go through our process to move assessments funds from our alfalfa seed and research to pay for our National Alfalfa Forage Alliance and Western Alfalfa Seed Growers Association memberships. And if the board is interested, I can go over a little bit about what those memberships do, if that would be helpful.
Yeah, let's go ahead and just give us a brief real quick.
Okay. So the National Alfalfa Association's mission is to ensure the ability of all segments of the alfalfa and forage industry to compete effectively while maintaining access to global markets. And the Western group or growers group is to protect and stimulate and aid projects in the interest of the benefit of the alfalfa growers, and to provide correlation and dissemination of useful information. The alfalfa grower community in Nevada has annually supported these efforts by providing membership dues to these groups. These groups have the best interests of alfalfa seed producers and growers and represent the production community at a global scale, which is important. Their efforts are related to seed research and technology, as well as market establishment that benefit growers in our region. Local commodity, the local community of alfalfa seed producers acknowledges this and vote annually to maintain the funding of these two organizations. And so this is to use those funds to pay those dues. And I can go over the amounts if that would be helpful too.
Does the board have any questions? Would you like to hear the dues, the amount?
Yeah, what's the amount we're transferring? What is the amount we're transferring?
Yeah, so for the National Association dues, as well, to sort of backdate us and then get us to current, is $1,487. And then for the Western Alfalfa Seed Growers Association dues is $867.51.
Thank you.
It's the action item board.
I move to approve the transfers.
There's a motion on the floor.
I'll second it.
There's a first and a second to approve the payment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. It's so moved. Good job. Thank you so much. Any other questions? We'll move to agenda item number 9, animal industry. And that will be Doug or Jen or
Believe that is what this.
Doug, are you out there? I don't want to hear where you're at, but just, do you have an update?
I do, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me okay?
Good background. Perfect.
All right, let me pull up my board report here. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is Doug Ferris, and I am the Division Administrator for the Division of Animal Industry. I'll kind of hit some high points on this board update, and then if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer those. Under pending matters of significance, wanted to focus on the rebuilding the livestock inspection program. This was all part of the business plan that we went through previously. At this time, program fee structure revisions were implemented on May 1st, and the 2023 brand renewal process initiated November 1st, 2022. We have 30 state employed intermittent brand inspector positions, which have been hired, and the availability of 20 contracted brand inspector positions. There are 17 of those currently filled. The 3 full-time brand inspector positions were approved during the hiring process, and we have initiated that to post those positions and get that process started so we can get those 3 positions filled. 33 Surface Pro tablets were secured to replace the aging iPads, and distribution to inspectors has begun, and replacement brand inspector printers have been ordered. Staff are also investigating possible electronic programs to replace the outdated paper processes at the 2 public livestock auctions. Revisions to Nevada Administrative Code 571 continue. This is kind of goes along with some of the public comment that we heard this morning. We did hold 1 public workshop that was virtual on March 27th of 2022. And since that time, we've held 3 in-person workshops that also had a virtual option. In November, those were held in Winnemucca, Elko, and Fallon. With the input received during those workshops, the staff will revise and edit the current proposed language, and then we will schedule additional in-person workshops with virtual options in the future. Along with that, assisting me and or working on those 571 revisions, as many of you know, our previous state veterinarian resigned, and so we did hire Dr. JJ Goycochea as the interim state veterinarian while we go through the recruitment process for a permanent position. Moving on with that, our partnership activities, some of these are just progressing. The USDA APHIS cooperative agreements that we have with them for our both our animal disease traceability and umbrella agreements. Moving on to Wild Horse Connection, that cooperative agreement was renewed in August of 2022. During this fiscal year, Wild Horse Connection has reported 24 horses versus vehicle crashes to date. There were 27 crashes in 2021 and 46 reported in 2020. They've also done horse relocations throughout this time as well, for horses that entered urban areas or near roadways. American Wild Horse Campaign, we renewed that cooperative agreement in May of 2022. And I know you were provided some data previously during public comment. The data we have right now is that they've administered fertility control vaccine to a total of 929 individual mares with 941 doses. In addition, American Wild Horse Campaign also has updated their inventory of horses to include 3,322 horses individually identified and located in the Virginia Range area. With that, the NDA also performed an aerial survey for horse abundance in Virginia Range area in coordination with BLM in March of 2022. The statistical analysis completed with the data from that survey indicating an estimated population of 3,567 horses. I'll move on to some of our program updates. Commercial feed, 298 registered active accounts. Livestock enforcement, we have a lot of data for you there. I actually won't go over every part of that unless anybody has any questions. I'd be more than happy to ask or answer those. Livestock identification.
Hold on 1 second, but sorry, there is a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, Doug, do you have 5 years population data on the Virginia Range horses? What does that trend look like?
For the record, Doug Ferris, I would actually have to look back. I know we've done, since I've been here, I believe we have 3 surveys, but I don't have them in front of me to give you that information, but I can obtain it. And we can send it out to the board of what those 3 surveys found.
Okay. Can I interrupt you, Doug, here? So we have a survey for 2014, we had a survey in 2018, and then a survey in 2022, so 4 years difference. From 2014 to 2018, there was an approximately 13 to 14% increase in the population. From 2018 to 2022, there was only approximately a 3% increase in population.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Doug, thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, for our livestock identification program, staff have completed more than 7,000 brand inspection clearance certificates for a total of more than 213,000 animals. And this does include the public livestock auctions. Brand inspectors have worked in excess of 4,600 hours and traveled over 101,000 miles during this, performing these brand inspections. Staff have renewed 134 brands and approved 132 new brand applications. 2,780 brand renewal notices were sent out to registered brand owners. Currently, we've renewed 1,703 of those. We've also received 2,000, excess of 2,000 livestock assessment filings for 2022. And we've issued over 2,400 livestock movement permits. There are 16 agricultural licenses issued for FY23, and the Sparks office and program staff have received in excess of 80 phone calls or emails relating to the Virginia range feral stray horses. Under predatory animal and rodent control, park staff have provided technical assistance, non-lethal predator recommendations and removal of predators throughout FY23. These primary species addressed during this year include 57% coyotes and 42% ravens. Staff provided outreach to 398 individuals or businesses throughout this time, and the agricultural product losses verified by staff consisted of 171 goats, 130 lambs, 11 adult sheep, 1 calf, 1 llama, and 160 chickens that were killed during this reported period. And just to note, that is only for the state park staff. That doesn't include the federal wildlife services staff. We currently have recruitments open for 3 field assistant 2 positions, 1 in Elko and 2 in Fallon that are ongoing. I'll continue on to the next program unless you have any questions, Mr. Chairman.
I think that's good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, I'll kind of skim over this because it is lengthy. Everybody's been very busy here. We had 6 pages for this, so I apologize for the length, but I have to say I'm very happy with the amount of work that all the staff have worked on and put forward on this. Part of this is the let me see here, we continue to submit samples for the sheep and goats to meet the requirements of National Scrapie Eradication Program. We actually had some contributing factors to deficient sample numbers, included lack of producer participation and the closing of Wolfpack meats earlier this fall. USD has announced that there would be no loss of state consistent status for any of the states that did not meet their sampling requirements during this period, because there were multiple states that didn't meet that this year. I know another really hot topic, or something that we've been doing a lot or working with, is the radio frequency identification tags for official calf hood vaccination. We continue to issue those free to producers through their veterinarians. This fiscal year, we've distributed 5,570 tags to producers across the state of Nevada who requested those, and we still have more that we can distribute them. Our performance reports for our 2 USDA APHIS veterinary service cooperative agreements have been completed. The veterinary medical staff continues to work with our law enforcement staff as well with some animal investigations, including disease or cruelty investigations across the state. Investigations into illegal animal imports are ongoing. We continue to work on that. Staff continue to communicate with the Center for Disease Control and One Health partners regarding current and emergent zoonotic diseases such as severe respiratory syndrome, coronavirus 2, and monkeypox. Nevada did have a detection of highly pathogenic avian influenza in Nye County since our last board update. Those were confirmed by being sent out to the National Veterinary Services Laboratory. That premise remains under a hold order at this time, or quarantine at this time. And this is actually the second detection in the state after having one in Carson City previously this year. Let me see. Said I think I'll kind of skim over some of this just so we can continue the meeting, keep the meeting going. But I'm be happy to answer anything if anybody has anything for any of those bullets in there. I'll go ahead and move on to our dairy and processing auditing. Again, we have a lot of data here. Everybody's been very busy. We're almost fully staffed in that program. I think we're only down one position right now, so we look forward to filling that so they can continue with all of their hard work and working towards everything here. Unless there's anything specific to dairy, I won't go through every bullet. But before we do our industry impact section, I'll go ahead and ask Mr. Chairman if there's anything specific in all those bullet points that you'd like me to address.
Up to this point, I don't have any. The board have any questions? You guys been busy a little bit. We appreciate that. Shipping's going. Brand inspectors. You said you had 3 more positions are all class. They're ready to go to hire for the supervisor positions on the brand inspection.
Yes, for the record, Doug Ferris, we actually have 3 contracted positions that we can still fill at this time if we get applicants. And then we also have the 3 full-time positions that will be a supervisor position and then 2 other full-time positions that will also be supervisors and perform brand inspections throughout the state. So we have those in progress. So
awesome. And as I don't know if you have our operations and stuff like that. Well, I mean, what is kind of the plan of the day or something like that? Can they be, reached? What's their, on a cell phone or something like that? What's the plan for that, Doug?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, for the record, Doug Ferris, I missed part of that. Is this for any brand inspector or for those?
No, for the supervisor position. Sorry, the 3 that are there.
Yeah, those for the record, Doug Ferris, those positions will all be issued state cell phones, so they'll be contacted that way and assist in our dispatching of other inspectors. Also, like I say, the brand inspector 3 position is primarily supervisory, so that position will be located in one of the NDA office. So they'll actually have landline, email, and a state issued cell phone then to help facilitate things and keep brand inspections moving.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. I appreciate that availability. Does the board have any other questions thus far for Doug? All right. Good one.
Okay, with that then, I know we had some questions about the state meat inspection program. And since Sheeta has come on as the meat and poultry inspection manager, project manager, we wanted to give her a chance to give an update today to the board as far as the progress we've made and the direction we're moving. So with that, I'll actually turn it over to Sheeta, and I believe she has a PowerPoint as well.
Good morning, everyone. Just to make sure, can everyone hear me?
Yes, good to go.
Thank you. For the record, I'm Shada Sanjita. I am the Meat and Poultry Inspection Project Manager. I just wanted to provide some background on the program and some updates on how it's going. We want to go ahead and move on to the next slide. So the USDA's Food Safety and Inspection Service, FSIS, is responsible for ensuring the safety and wholesomeness of meat and poultry products. States do have the ability to enter into a cooperative inspection program and act as the regulatory authority. These programs are equal to federal inspection, and they are ultimately overseen by USDA FSIS. Currently, 29 states have this cooperative inspection program. Next slide, please. Thank you. I put together a table on meat processing options. There's personal use, custom, state, and federal. All methods have to follow good food safety practices, but not all methods will be inspected to meet USDA food safety guidelines, nor will all have continuous animal inspection, the ability to sell meat products within the state and outside of the state. Currently, personal use, custom, and federal is offered in Nevada, and we are in the process of establishing the state program. Next slide. So as previously mentioned, states have the option to enter into an agreement with USDA FSIS to operate a state meat and poultry inspection program. These state programs must enforce requirements that are at least equal to those imposed under the Federal Meat Inspection Act, the Poultry Products Inspection Act, and the Humane Methods of Slaughter Act of 1978. Products that are produced under this program are limited to intrastate commerce unless the state enters into an additional program with USDA FSIS. So I wanted to provide USDA's key definition on at least equal to. The at least equal to standard requires state MPI programs to operate in a manner that is not less effective than those standards adopted for the federal inspection program. This standard does not require that the state operates their program in a manner that is the same or identical, but it does not prohibit the state program from establishing safeguards they believe to be more effective than those employed by FSIS. So some background on the Federal Meat Inspection Act. It requires that all meat sold commercially be inspected to ensure that it is wholesome and properly labeled. And the FMIA requires inspection for any product intended for human consumption wholly or in part from the carcass or parts of any cattle, sheep, swine, and goat. The Poultry Products Inspection Act requires the USDA FSIS to inspect all domesticated birds when slaughtered and processed into products for human consumption. And the goal of this law is to prevent adulterated or misbranded poultry and products from being sold. The Humane Methods of Slaughter Act of 1978 requires the humane treatment and handling of food animals at the slaughter plant while also providing a quick and effective death. The act allows for inspectors to stop slaughter activities that they think an animal is being handled inhumanely. Poultry operations, though, must follow good commercial practices. Some benefits of a state meat and poultry inspection program. Our inspection program will be aimed at small businesses that USDA FSIS does not have the capacity for, and the Nevada Department of Agriculture will serve as a more localized point of contact. The aim of this program is to provide technical assistance to help facilities expand their product marketability, and additional facilities can potentially allow consumers to have more options for locally produced meat and poultry, allow producers to have better control of the pricing of their products, reduce transportation costs, and improve accessibility for producers in rural areas. USDA FSIS has acknowledged Nevada's interest in starting an at least equal to MPI program, and we have been assigned a USDA program auditor. Regular conversation with the USDA has been maintained, and discussions continue for many of their requirements, such as state IT equipment to be used in this program and the requirements for state employee training. Some current work. There have been some revisions to the language in the Nevada Administrative Code, NAC 583. It's currently being drafted to fulfill USDA's Food Safety Inspection Services requirements of at least equal to. And upon completion of this draft, USDA federal state audit staff will review to ensure that the updated language fulfills the USDA's requirements. Additionally, I have begun writing a state plan and a breakdown of how the 9 components USDA requires shall be fulfilled, and a well-written state plan and a breakdown of how each component will be fulfilled shall help minimize the number of questions that FSIS management may ask. And it additionally provides federal state audit staff with the ability to provide direction if needed. Some next steps would be to hire a program staff and begin the training, both state training and USDA training, develop additional related policies and procedures, perform outreach with interested communities to identify opportunities and assist those that may be interested, going to workshop to solicit comments from the public, and completing Nevada's rulemaking procedures. And finally, enter into a cooperative agreement with USDA FSIS to enable the inspection program to officially begin. Thank you, everyone, for your time.
Thank you, Shada. This PowerPoint, if we wanted to review it, it'll be on the NDA website, correct? With all other documents. Appreciate what you've done. Real quick question, how many meat processing USDA facilities are in the state of Nevada currently?
From the number that I was provided by USDA, it's 3.
Perfect, thank you. Any board members have any questions? Thanks for the update. I appreciate it. Keep on keeping on. I know it's a lot of process. You're building a program, but I think it's doable. It's something we need in Nevada, right? So thank you. I appreciate that. And then also one other shout out I got to give Doug and JJ Bocaccia, the interim vet. I've been at a couple of those workshops for Trick, and I appreciate what you guys are doing and listening to the private industry discuss their concerns and comments. I appreciate you guys' hard work on it. Any other questions for Doug? All right. Enjoy the day, Doug. Have a good day. Thank you.
We will. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, board members.
All right. Moving to agenda item number 10. We're going to do an update with Jerry. Is she out there? Awesome. Ms. Conrad, Deputy Director. We'll wait for her.
No, we can't hear you.
Communication. We'll give her some time.
You shaking your head. She's not on mute, but I don't think her microphone is working. Maybe it comes up, her mic is not working.
Phone call her. Give her phone call.
She's gonna call in.
Perfect.
Okay.
We'll give her a moment. What?
Fire going to the warehouse. Yeah.
That's solid, yeah. Well, that's a door, it's solid. I can feel it when you shut it.
When they shut it with this.
Yeah, that's the trick. That's
Like you're coming through the wall there.
Yeah.
just having some technical difficulties. We're working on it right now. We won't let Doug off the hook. Anybody have any questions for Doug? You're on it.
Oh, I'm gonna come us down.
Yeah, I have a question, Doug.
Go ahead, definitely, Jim Snyder.
There's more of a comment. You should wear a good coat if you're working in the shadow of Joe's Peak there.
You don't want to see this background. We see here.
It's pretty sunny today here in Grove Speak.
Can you hear me now? This is Jerry.
Perfect, we got you. Thank you.
Okay, got I apologize for the video or for the sound not working. But I'll go ahead and get to the Division of Administrative Services report. And I'm not going to cover every single thing on here. A lot of what is on here actually has been covered under some of the division reports as well as the director's report. So, but feel free to ask if you have any questions about anything specific. So program updates from a trade and economic development standpoint, we conducted our second annual Picture Nevada Food and Agriculture Photo Contest. And we have 5 shots were selected and an overall winner. The shipping day photo was picked. The craft beverage passport is entering its 2nd year. It has been a real hit, as I'm sure you are all aware. I know you've heard about it and received your passports. So we're looking forward to 2023 with additional participants as well. So that's exciting. We launched, I believe it's our 2nd year of the Nevada Agriculture, Food, Beverage, Small Business of the Year Award. So those nominations are open until December 23rd. You can go to the website to nominate someone, and a business can nominate themselves as well. To be eligible, businesses must be licensed in Nevada, produce or manufacture at least 51% of their agriculture, food, or beverage project in Nevada, and have less than 150 employees. So if you know anyone, please reach out and ask them to nominate themselves, or go ahead and take the initiative and nominate them. Our trade manager has been busy coordinating not only these items here that I've already talked about, but also connecting Nevada producers with interested parties. You'll see that in the South Korea animal feed business meetings, and then the inbound trade mission for Canada craft beverage. He's also been working with Made in Nevada Connections events, and that's an ongoing partnership, Made in Nevada, with the Department of Agriculture, which I know you've heard about off and on. And then the USDA Agriculture Census, there's information about it on the website there, agri.nv.gov. I don't believe that they've distributed the hard copy of the survey yet, but you can get a preview of the survey, but please be on the lookout for that. Let's see. And you can see all the live links here to all the coverage that the communication staff has been working on. A lot of these items have been talked about in the various division updates, so I'm not going to go through these. I want to mention the 2nd year of the Nevada Women's Farm to Food Accelerator Workforce Development Program. It also just kicked off, and this year, in addition to funding from Nevada Specialty Crop Block Grant, we also received funding for the American Rescue Plan Act. So we were able to expand those who could participate in the program, and we have 16 women this year. So that's pretty exciting. I also just want to show the appreciation for our staff who have made all of these things come together, similar what you've heard from other divisions and from the director. They're doing so with short with vacancies on their team staff. And so they're doing, doing their best to manage their jobs as the other duties for those vacancies that just have to get done. Any questions for me?
Just a real quick, hey, Jerry, it's Woody. Quick question. What's the staffing vacancies currently for the Department of Ag? How many?
Oh my gosh. Overall, Jen, do you have the number? The latest? I don't have the overall number. I'm sorry. But I can send that.
Sorry, I put you on the spot.
I can look it up.
I was just curious.
I'll look it up, Jerry. I got it.
Okay, thank you.
And then just a real quick comment, Dylan was, I saw a lot of good media coverage on the craft room Canadian guys. Looks like it was a really good experience and really connecting the dots with that. So shout out to Dylan for sure on that and your team.
Yeah, he's he's been really working, since the time he's been here, as he's really been dedicated to making sure he's communicating with industry, seeing what their needs are, how the department can help, and making those connections through his trade programs. So that's been really great.
Awesome. Thank you again. And yeah, your team too as well, posting a lot of Facebook and Instagram and keeping people up to date on different programs and stuff like that. So does the board have any questions?
The last report that we submitted to the governor's office about 2 months ago, we had 22 full-time.
22 full-time vacancies. Oh, that's you. So commend everybody at the Department of Ag for covering those vacancies, but I appreciate what you do. And board have any other questions? All right, Terry, we can move on to some action items, it looks like.
Yes. You can give me a minute. My computer just decided to restart.
The first one's agenda item 4, policy approval.
Yes, the first one is the law enforcement use of force policy, policy 3.1. Administrator Ferris is here to kind of talk about the details of this or any questions you may have, but this is part of Nevada Revised Statute 561.105, where the Board of Agriculture shall establish the policy of the Nevada Department of Agriculture. Most of you are familiar with these, with the policies that we bring before the board. This is an opportunity to, to ask questions to talk with us about any particular policy that we're proposing here. Administrator Ferris, are you available to I just want to make sure you're still on, Doug.
For the record, Doug Ferris, yes, I'm available to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Thank you. The use of force by law enforcement personnel is a matter of critical concern, both to the public and to the law enforcement community. The department recognizes and respects the value of all human life and dignity without prejudice. Vesting officers with the authority to use reasonable force and to protect the public welfare requires monitoring, evaluation, and a careful balancing of all interests. While there is no way to specify the exact amount or type of reasonable force to be applied in any situation, this policy shall ensure the guidelines on the reasonable use of force and meet applicable Nevada Revised Statute and Nevada Administrative Code and are applied in a professional impartial, and reasonable manner. When this policy is approved, that's the date that it would be effective, as following past policies. This has been recently revised. This policy does replace a previous general order, which had procedures and such in it from 2017, I believe, but it does not replace a board-approved policy. Responsibilities, the leadership team consisting of the director, deputy director, and each administrator shall uphold the policies set forth by the Board of Agriculture. And the applicability, this policy applies to all foreign peace officers of NDA. Are there any questions?
So the board have any questions in this policy? What, I do, real quick, sorry. The policy replaces a previous general order. Can you just kind of go over that general order that was there? Or do you have that with you, or?
Yeah, I think Doug can speak to the highlights of the general order.
Perfect, thank you.
Yes, for the record, Doug Ferris. The general order previously didn't conform with how the department was supposed to work as far as having the board approve the policies and then the department would come up with a procedure. That the general order, the basis for everything that was in it is what will be in the procedures. This is standard for law enforcement agencies to have a use of force policy, and that all officers have to acknowledge it and review it yearly. So we're just trying to basically come from what was previously utilized by the department in 17 as the general order, and getting in conformance with having the law enforcement use of force policy approved by the board, and then we'll move on to creating the procedures themselves. But the information contained within would be the same whether it was in general order or procedures. This is just getting us into compliance. I don't know if that answers your question.
Sure it does, thank you, appreciate it. Board have any questions or an action? Well, I need an action motion or something like that. Board out there.
I'll make a motion to approve the law enforcement use of force policy.
I'll say it. There's a first and a second. We appreciate that. All in favor to support this? Board's policy approval. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. It's so moved. All right, moving on to letter C, Charlie. Law enforcement bias indicators and early warning system policy approval.
Yes, thank you. For the record, this next policy, law enforcement bias indicators and warning system policy 3.2. Again, per Nevada Revised Statute 561.105, the Board of Agriculture shall establish the policy of the Department of Agriculture. The policy shall ensure the establishment of an early warning system known as the Law Enforcement Bias Indicators and Warning System to identify peace officers who display bias indicators or other problematic behavior. This policy shall ensure the guidelines for the Law Enforcement Bias Indicators and Warning System meet applicable Nevada Revised Statute and Nevada Administrative Code and are applied in a professional, impartial, and reasonable manner. The policy effective date will be upon approval of the board. Again, recently revised, as you can see in that date. This is the first law enforcement bias indicators and warning system policy, therefore it does not replace the previous policy. Leadership responsibilities, the responsibilities fall to the leadership team consisting of the director, deputy director, and each administrator shall uphold the policies set forth by the Board of Agriculture. And applicability, this policy shall apply to all foreign peace officers of the NDA. Any questions?
Or have any questions for this? Is this just another housekeeping item, Doug, that you have that came up as well?
For the record, Doug Ferris. This actually came out of the last legislative session. It was a bill that went through and was passed that required all law enforcement agencies to implement this bias indicators and warning system. So we're just getting compliance with that last session bill that went through.
Awesome, thank you. It's another action item for.
Kavalaki for the record, I want to make a motion to approve the law enforcement bias indicators and warning system policy 3.2.
There's a first and a second on the floor to approve the law enforcement bias indicators and early warning system policy. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Vote. All those opposed say nay. It's so moved. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Jerry. And Doug.
Thank you.
Collaboration. Let's go to public comment. This is our final public comment. Is there any public comment in the Zoom out there?
If there's anybody on Zoom who would like to make a public comment, you can hover over your name and raise your hand. And Gary.
I just want to thank you guys so much for all the hard work you've been doing. I've see that you're working so well together, and I just sometimes I personally don't thank people that I've had head-ons with enough for their efforts, and thank you so much, you guys.
Anybody else out there? Yes, we have one public comment here in Las Vegas.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I may, Hayden Smitievich for the record. For those members of the board and anybody listening who may not already know, Monday will be my last day with the Department of Agriculture. I've accepted a position with Washoe County as their government affairs liaison. And I will start that with them next week as well. And as I've said many times over the last couple of weeks, I am not running away from anything. I'm running towards something. It has been an absolute pleasure to serve this department, the board, and the public in my role over the past almost 5 years. I'm incredibly proud of what the measurement standards team has accomplished in that time. Director Ott has appointed Dr. Strajewski as the interim administrator following my departure. So the division is in very good hands. Know that you have a team of 26 very dedicated staff members in that division who are working towards advancing the NDA mission and ensuring equity in the Nevada marketplace. So I thank you for the opportunity. I'm not going far.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. I know it's public comment, but I'm gonna we'll go ahead. Open it up. Go ahead, everybody. We appreciate, first of all, what you've done and what with weights and measures, and it's tough to see you go. It's heading in the right direction, especially when we get charging systems coming up and stuff like that. But I know you're gonna be successful, and we appreciate what you've done in your team. And we'll see you out there. I know that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Any board members, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say thank you for all you've done. Sorry to see you go. Appreciate you.
Very similarly, we are, yes, it's funny, I always hate speaking after Cadence because she does it so well. But Cadence has been a person that has come in and taken the former consumer equitability division, current measurement standards division, and just completely reformed. And we had some wonderful staff in that division, and she has already just augmented that and done such a wonderful job. So I just wanted to publicly thank you for all of your hard work and recognize you and for your guidance, for your experience and lending a hand and jumping in. Cadence was instrumental in getting our budget put together for this next legislative session. So we couldn't have done a lot of the work without her. We just so appreciate her time at the department.
Thank you so much. Absolutely. Any other public comments?
Not online, but there's something on, I'm sure they will make public comment.
Who is it?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Hey, what's going on?
Oh, I just wanted to add to what everybody else said and thank Candace and Homa for all the services that they've done for us. And I think they always done a great job. Thanks for your service.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Is there anybody in council that wishes to make public comment? Anyone in part?
Right, public comments. Any in Vegas? Good. No. All right, hearing none, we're going to close public comments. And we're on agenda item number 12. Adjournment. I appreciate everybody's time, and this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.